Well, I am back, 613 Golfers. Welcome to the 613 Golfer podcast. I am your host, Jeff Botter. For those that you remember me, it has been a while since I've recorded a podcast, and it's been a while because one thing that I've learned over the last couple of years with all the COVID-19 pandemic stuff is that the most important thing in your life is your own person and your own life. And when things happen personally, you need to deal with those things, and everything else goes away. And for the last few weeks, that's exactly what I've been doing, is just dealing and looking after myself and some things personally, and those things have been dealt with and resolved, and I am excited, very excited to be back behind a microphone, sitting in the chair with the beautiful backdrop of the 613 Golfer podcast studio, and I'm ready to go. So as we move forward, one of the things that over the last couple of years, again with whole COVID-19, is the loss of charity golf, corporate golf, big tournaments, big events. When everything kind of hit the fan, back in 2020, and we were kind of left going, what are we going to do here? Like, all these charities rely on events like charity golf events, other charity events as well, but this is a golf show, so we're talking about golf, and we rely on those charity golf events to raise much needed funds for the charities that they represent. And corporate golf tournaments, yeah, I mean, they're a big deal too. Great for their staff. They're kind of that outlet that staff get to participate in outside of the workplace, is kind of bonding kind of thing. And competitive golf tournaments, I mean, all of these things, there are far more important things in life, I'm sure, than playing golf and participating in golf tournaments and things like that. But the one aspect of all of that kind of resonates with me is the charitable golf side of things, because golf and charity go hand in hand. We see it on the PGA Tour, we see it on other tours. Charity events, charity golf events raise much needed funds for these charities. And over the last couple of years, it's been very difficult for these charities. In fact, I just got a phone call today from a charity that we supported numerous times that has been not able to run their event for a couple of years, and they're like really excited they're going to be able to run their event this year and raise much needed funds for their charity that they've been lacking. And they're running out of money, and these events are important to that. Now, one of the events that has taken place for 20 years now, that we at Flagstick have been very involved in for the better part of those 20 years, has been the Metcalfe Charity Classic. And, we're going to be very fortunate a little bit later on in this show, not too much later on, but a little bit later on in this show, we're going to have Rob Howell, the general manager of the Metcalfe Golf Course, join us. And we're going to talk to Rob about, what did they do when everything went shut down, and then came back, and all the protocols that were in place that prohibited them from being able to do things with respect to that charity event, which I'm sure other charity events also had to adjust on the fly. But Rob has been gracious enough to join us on the heels of the latest edition of the Metcalfe Charity Classic happening, and we're going to talk to him about what did they do in 2020 when they had to switch gears. What did they do in 2021 when they were able to kind of open things up a little bit more, and find out, just how did they adjust, and how did the event go this year? And Rob's going to come on and talk to us about that. We're also, obviously, it's been a while, but we're going to head back out to the lesson tee with Kevin Hain. We're going to learn a little something about keeping your head down, kind of a fact or fiction. Do you keep it down? Do you not keep it down? What's the real story there? Kevin's going to give us a little quick tip on that when we head out to the lesson tee. So I want you to stay with me. This is not going to be a super long episode of 613 Golfer podcast. We want to get into things with Rob as soon as possible. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Rob Howell, the general manager of the Metcalfe Golf Course, and get a little insight about the Metcalfe Charity Classic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
At Ping, we're an engineering company. Success is measured in the lab and on your scorecard. We focus on results. Your results. In the G425 Max driver, that means more time in the fairway, less time in the rough. It means longer drives, shorter approach shots, and fewer putts. The new G425 drivers, taking MOI to the max. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
All right, welcome back. And as promised, I'm here with Rob Howell, the general manager at the Metcalfe Golf Club. Welcome to the 613 Golfer podcast, Rob.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Hey, not a problem at all. So how's the season been going so far, Rob?
It's been a very busy season, which is great, and lots of people out enjoying the outdoors and golf, and things have been rolling along really nicely, and people are having a great time.
Awesome. Well, certainly as I travel around the region, it certainly seems that there's lots of people on the golf courses, lots of people playing, so that's a good sign. Now, Rob, the reason I wanted to have you on is obviously you just finished the latest edition of the Metcalfe Charity Classic, and I kind of off the top of the show sort of discussed just with the audience about the missing of the charity golf component of golf over the last couple of years, and now kind of everybody getting back into it, and how important charity golf is to the charities. But I want to kind of step back a little bit before we get into talking about the Metcalfe Charity Classic as an event. I want to ask, what's the event about? How did it kind of come about, and what's involved in it?
Sure. So the event supports the Osgood Care Center, which is a not-for-profit long-term care facility in our community. It started back 20 years ago, actually, with our 25th anniversary. We wanted to have a 25th anniversary celebration, and we decided that we would just add $5 to everybody's entry fee and donate those funds to the care center. That seemed to be very well received. So as the years went on, it became more of a tournament with more of a fundraising component. Added in some on-course contests. Picked up some silent auction prizes, started running a silent auction. For a few years, we had a live auction going. So we kind of built on that, all at the same time, trying to support the care center and the residents, specifically the residents at that care center. So the tournament would always have a donation to something that would be good for residents' care as recommended by their staff. Over the years, we've done things such as a snoozlin room, which is very good for Alzheimer's and dementia patients. We funded that. We funded ovens. We funded residents' activities. Most recently, they're taking on a redevelopment project, so funds have gone towards that, as well as funding some pandemic-related expenses the last couple of years.
That's awesome. Now, I guess that kind of goes to what I was talking about earlier, how important charity events like the Metcalfe Charity Classic are to the communities that they support. And in this case, the Osgood Care Center supporting the communities of Osgood, Greeley, Metcalfe, and the surrounding areas. There's lots of benefit to what the Metcalfe Charity Classic provides for that event.
No, absolutely. It's not just important, I think, in support of the center itself, but it's also a place the community can come together to support the care center. And we've always tried to keep the event affordable so that everyone in the community would be able to play, participate, and support the care center.
Awesome. Now, COVID hits 2020, upsets the golf industry initially. The golf gets going, we're excited about that, but you have last year the Charity Classic, and it couldn't happen the way it had happened in the past, and you're kind of stuck with how do we do this? How can we still raise money for the care center without having an event? So tell me quickly, before we get into 2021, what did you guys do in 2020 to kind of try to solve that problem?
So the traditional event date for us is mid-July. So by early June, it became very clear, there's no restaurants open, there was no patios open at that point. That'd be very, very difficult to hold a large event. So we had the idea of a donation matching campaign. So we basically contacted past sponsors and past participants and said, listen, we will match any donations that are made for the care center. and we're blown away by the support of the participants and the sponsors. So we ended up with $6,000 of donations, which we matched, which ended up being a $12,000 contribution, which was in line with what previous year's events have been making. So that was awesome.
Oh, that's great. Now, fast forward, here we are, 2021. The event is back, scheduled back at its usual time, or close to its usual time, and you're going crazy organizing and trying to get this thing to happen. So what did you have to do differently this year to make sure that you could actually have an event at the golf course, on the golf course, and with food involved, and try to get it back to some normal?
Yeah, so I guess for a while it seemed like deja vu. Golf was delayed, was shut down for a while. There was no food service. So again, the event was scheduled for July the 14th. But at that point, we didn't have enough lead time after things started to open up to plan it. So we kind of put the pause button on. Once we get our head wrapped around patios opening and how we could do things, we scheduled it for August the 18th. Instead of a shotgun, we do tee times to get around the gathering limits to make sure we'll be in compliance with the government regulations. Fundraising wise, we added to the entry fee what we would normally collect at the flagstick, beat you on the flagstick hole, or some representative from flagstick, or the putting contest or raffle. So we pre-added those fees. We still ran the contest with the golfers, but there was no contact. Nobody had to sell tickets. We also ran a virtual Facebook auction, so we had all of our items up on Facebook, and we ran the bids through that, so we were able to still have the silent auction component. And then the golfers came out, played their game. Instead of our famous roast beef buffet, which is traditionally held at the tournament, we served a really nice beef tenderloin dinner. So we had lots of comments that people enjoyed. Although they liked the roast beef, they did certainly enjoy sitting at their table and be served a nice steak dinner after their round. So yeah, so all in all, tee times went from 10:30 until 3:30. So the last groups were just squeezing it in, but we were still able to accommodate 140 golfers and set a tournament record of $14,000.
Wow, that's amazing. And all of this with having to make adjustments. That really goes to show the level of support from the community that surrounds the Metcalfe Golf Course and that has supported the Metcalfe Charity Classic. And obviously we've been a sponsor of the tournament for a good number of those 20 years, and are happy to continue to provide our support. But that support has come in different ways, especially over the last couple of years. And so what kind of feedback did you get from the golfers as far as the event itself goes? Basically, because it's a lot of return people. I'm sure there were some new ones this year, but there's a lot of return people. So what do people say about the event this year compared to what they would have experienced a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think for the most part, people were just happy that they could do something to support the care center and enjoy a fun day with their friends. Some enjoyed the tee time format because it wasn't as big a time commitment for their day. They could show up 15 or 20 minutes before their time, golf with their friends, have dinner with their friends. We tried to strategically groups that we knew that were friends of 8, 12, 16 people playing together. We tried to put them back to back so they could all have dinner together. So it had a bit of a tournament feel for them. So all in all, the feedback was really positive.
Awesome. So record $14,000 raised this year for the Osgood Care Center. So now what does that bring the 20-year total to, Rob?
20-year total comes to $179,000.
Wow. That's phenomenal. And that, it's so exciting to see that, because like I said right off the top, like these charity events are like way too important to the communities that they support, and to see that kind of come back after a year off and bringing it out in record numbers and raising that kind of money is just a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, no, and I think it can be done. And golf is a very, as you mentioned, very important industry to charitable fundraising. Golf is doing very well right now, so I think it's a huge opportunity because there's a lot of charitable events that can occur right now. So golf is one that should be able to be brought back before your big 500-person galas and things like that, and at a time when charities are certainly in need of support with everything that's going on right now.
No question about it. Now, as we turn the page on 2021's edition, and we look sort of ahead to the year 21 for the tournament, any thoughts after you kind of absorb this year and everything that you had to go through this year as to whether you'll try in 2022 to get everything back to exactly the way it was, provided regulations allow for it, or you're just taking a breath and going, yeah, we'll deal with that in October?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think from the perspective of this time last year, when things started to open up and case counts went down, we opened up things as we were allowed quickly without thinking that we would have to roll things back. What we learned with that is more this summer, you're almost playing defense all the time. Be happy with what you have operating. I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't think we're going to have more restrictions, but until the government actually says, you can have larger events now and you can have, dining of groups for more than 100, we're going to kind of proceed very cautiously and get into the winter and then see how things are at as we get into planning for 2022.
Well, I can definitely attest how important and how difficult it can be to change everything on the fly. Almost completely changing a business model over the last couple of years to be able to continue to operate and to be a profitable business, or an operatable business, I suppose, is a better way of looking at what you guys have done with the golf course. I mean, obviously I'm close by, so I'm more aware of things that you're doing there than maybe at some other courses, but with what you did with the Charity Classic and trying last year, especially to try to keep something going to make sure that the charity still got the funds that it had been, accustomed to seeing year after year, and then this year to do what you did, again, making adjustments and positive adjustments and raising, again, huge funds for the Osgood Care Center. Hats off have to go to you, Robin, and all of the staff over there at the Metcalfe Golf Club for what you're doing and what you continue to do.
Well, thanks, Jeff. And I'd like to thank you for your support over the years of the event. It's been tremendous. And as well as all of our sponsors. We have many, many repeat sponsors who purchase whole signs. So we're very thankful for that. And of course, all the participants. So we have many, many people who have played for, I'm not sure if any, I'll have to look back to see if anyone's played in all 21 years, but I think we have several that have been almost every year we've had the event. So the support's been fantastic.
Oh, no problem at all. We're happy to do it, and looking forward to hopping in 2022, being able to sit down in the tent with a roast beef buffet dinner and enjoying a good meal with a whole lot of people under that tent.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks very much for doing this, Rob. All the best. We'll talk to you very soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
No problem.
Bye.
Well, there he goes. Radar Rob, aka Rob Howell, General Manager of the Metcalfe Golf Course. It's amazing to see what happens when something needs to get done. It just gets done. That's how things work. And the Metcalfe Charity Classic needed to happen. Funds were needed for the Osgood Care Center, and we were happy, with Flagstick and flagstick.com to continue to be a part of what they were doing, providing gifts, prizing, auction items, whatever we could, much needed marketing support, etc. Really glad to see that it came off okay this year, and looking forward to seeing it kind of get back to a little bit of more normal in 2022. So thanks, Rob, for coming on and talking to us. Now, like I said off the top of the show, it's been a few weeks. We need to get back out to the lesson tee. There is much needed things to be learned about the golf swing, and one of those things is we always hear about keeping our head down, but is that really true? Do we really need to keep our head down, or what is the whole fact or fiction behind that? Well, we're going to head out to the lesson tee right now, and we're going to see what Kevin Haim, our resident golf pro out at the Kevin Haim Golf Center, has to say about keeping your head down for better ball striking.
Time for a quick tip, golfers, and today we dispel the biggest myth in golf: keep your head down. Well, it's true you want to keep your head pretty still in your backswing, and you want to look at the ball because you're going to hit it. You need to release to hit good golf shots. I see this so often on my lesson tee. The head stays down looking at nothing, and you can't finish your swing. The best way to explain this is for me to just throw a little frisbee for you. I swing back very similar to golf, but then I rotate and release and throw the frisbee. I'm looking where I'm throwing the frisbee. Same's true in golf. Keep your head pretty steady here, but then once you're hitting it, you're releasing and allowing your swing to accelerate to a finish. Don't keep your head down. It's killing me every time I see it.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. I'm not even going to get into describing how what that was all about and what Kevin's explaining to you there. Listen, if you're on YouTube, watch it. It's pretty self-explanatory how keeping your head down and how your head works in the golf swing. And Kevin's better at explaining that than most. So thanks, Kevin, for doing that. Well, as I said, it's not going to be a very long episode of the 613 Golfer podcast. I'm looking forward to kind of the next episode, really getting into wrapping up competitive golf season around the region with some different intersectional results throughout the OVGA, different championships. It's as we say, getting into scramble season pretty soon. And that's sort of when the fall golf happens and all of the 2-person, 3-person, 4-person scrambles start to happen. And all these team events, it is that season. They're a lot of fun to participate in, and I know a lot of you do participate in them. I myself try to get into a couple of them if I can. Golf game's kind of sharp right now, even though I haven't played very much. But I might jump into a couple of those scrambles, maybe some of the open ones, so I can jump in with my buddy Scott McLeod, our associate publisher and PGA of Canada professional. So enjoy the scramble season, everybody. Look forward to talking to you next week and getting wrapped up on some more competitive golf and some more things happening around the 613. If you have not listened to an episode or you want to listen to an episode of the 613 Golfer podcast, go to flagstick.com. All of the audio episodes are there for you to download or to listen to directly. If you like watching it on YouTube or you like watching the videos, you can watch the video directly from flagstick.com. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and iHeartRadio. You can also visit our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get every single episode. Plus, we like those subscriptions. And like us and click the little notification bell to make sure that when we do release a new episode, because sometimes you never know when that's going to happen. If you click that notification bell, you will know, you'll get notified right away, and you'll be getting every episode directly notified to you. So thanks again to Rob Howell for jumping on with us this episode and filling us in on some things about the Metcalfe Charity Classic. Thanks again, always to our great sponsor, Ping Golf Canada. Visit them at ca.ping.com. Learn everything there is to know about the G425 irons, woods, hybrids, and fairways, plus some of the new stuff that they're dropping. You got to check out their website, ca.ping.com. I'm Jeff Botter. This has been the 613 Golfer podcast, and always remember, go for this day.